Tamoghno.
Hello, been a long time actually. So I really like to catch up with the viewers once again, and so thank you again, Kirthik, for having me here.
All those who are watching this session for the first time, let me remind you that Tamoghno has also given us few tips and tricks and shared few wonderful strategies on how to prepare for GATE exam without any external help or coaching. So the link is provided somewhere over here, and also he talks about the difference between the MS, MTech, and PhD programs, which is the most common confusions amongst the applicants when they are left to choose what they should go for. And today we have Tamoghno joining us again, where he would be sharing his experience at the interview calls at various institutes like IITs, IIITs, and where else, Tamoghno, did you get your call from?
I also interviewed at IISc-Bengaluru, so I think that would be a great interview experience to share.
Great, I see Bangalore too. Okay, is anything else that I missed out? You can also tell that.
No, I think that's about it. So, like for any other details, as he mentioned, like you can refer to the previous videos, and if there are any further doubts, you can still hit me up on LinkedIn. I go by the name Tamoghno Das, and like you can find me, and I'd be happy to answer your queries.
So, Tamoghno, just the stage is yours. So, just take us through what you exactly did after getting your GATE scores.
Yeah. So basically, now that you have already given the exam and you've got the score, you have a kind of idea as to where you are eligible for application for masters, either MTech or MS. So you need to decide accordingly. So in my case, my rank was not that impressive, so I knew that I won't get a call for MTech from at least top 5 for sure. So my best bet for MTech was around like IIT BHU, I guess. So that is why I was focusing more on the options related to MS programs as compared to MTech programs. And a similar situation can arise in your case as well. What's really good out here is that the MTech and MS programs have totally different selection procedures. So you can apply for MTech programs, and that will be decided by a COAP, and parallelly you can also apply for MS programs. So even if you get selected in an MTech program, you can still appear for MS interviews at further IITs. So that is one of the great things about this, because COAP can often take time. For example, this year due to the COVID-19 situation, it was delayed a lot, and so a lot of and in fact it's still going on. So the aspirants were very anxious about it, and I hope you do not have to face the same situation. So I would like to start with a step-by-step process, following which any one of you can maximize their chances of getting selected for MS program in any IIT. So the first and foremost step is, obviously, since I'm talking about MS and it's more research focused, so you have to be certain about what area you want to conduct research in. That is the first and foremost question you want to answer. You might take some time for this, like you can maybe explore various websites of IITs, or go through various faculty profiles, and also do some Google searches and watch some videos on YouTube for more clarity on what topic you want to conduct research on, and that is going to define your entire application actually. So here the answer is that the more specific you are able to narrow it down to, the better, definitely. So you can say something like analog electronics, but that would not be very helpful in the interview. So you need to narrow it down further. So maybe image sensing, or something like CMOS sensor design. You have to be as specific as possible. So the second step is, now that you are ready with the research interests, so now you have to find people who can guide you. So there are probably at least one or two people in every IIT working in your particular domain or area of interest, and you need to look up their profiles now, see what they have worked on, and that will give you a very good idea about what is expected from you. Since you are going to join their research group, that will give you a very good idea of where to start from and what is the kind of end goal here. So now that you are also through about what you are expected to know and what you will be doing once you go there, so one thing you can do, if you get the time and the resources, is brush up on some skills related, like programming is a very common requirement for most research. So basics, C++ or Python is quite helpful. If someone knows MATLAB, they can brush up on those skills, because those are very helpful in research. And so otherwise, I'm not going to speak about the domain related, domain specific requirements, like those can vary. Like in case of VLSI, for me it was like Verilog or circuit design, so I went through those things in further detail. You can do the same. Now supposing that you do not get the time to do that, do not freak out, because I know it can be very overwhelming to start learning a skill right from scratch, especially when you haven't explored it much during your BTech. So now I'll go directly to the interview. So in the interview, I'd like to first place a few tips out here for the viewers, so that these are quite general tips for preparation which can be applicable to any interview. And so let me clear those out first, and then I'll move on to the specific questions I faced. So the first and foremost thing is obviously the typical cliche, tell me something about yourself. So you need to be prepared for that, and you have to prepare a great answer for that. So it can be anything, like your academic background to your some project you did or some role you took, but it is mostly preferable if you can tell them about the relevant experience. Like if you're applying for a position in VLSI, then if you've done some internship in circuit design or layout design, something like that, then that could be a game changer there. ठीक है. So now second thing is that revise basics of all GATE subjects, because and especially maths, ठीक, because maths is very commonly asked in IISc, and in almost all IITs maths is almost always going to be asked, and we tend to neglect it because like as it is we are neglecting it for GATE, and after that we tend to not touch it at all. But maths will almost definitely be asked in any interview, so please prepare accordingly, and preferably just go through the basics of all GATE subjects. Like since you've already studied them for GATE, just keep on revising the formulas and like just the basics, right? However, now depending on your particular area of interest, there you would be able to isolate 2 or 3 subjects which you must learn in greater depth, and you must assign them greater importance. Because like suppose, just an example, in case of VLSI, I placed greater emphasis on EDC, electronic devices and circuits, digital electronics, and analog circuits. So these 3 are mostly considered as the building blocks for like a VLSI engineer, a budding VLSI engineer, right? So that could be something else. Like for someone interested in communication, it can be signals and systems, communication systems, and electromagnetic theory. But you need to prepare those 2 to 3 subjects in absolute depth. Like they can ask anything, but the key point here is they will only ask from the basics, but they will not ask you something that you don't know at all. They will ask you something that you know and ask you to explain why it happens. So they'll just play around the basics. So it's not like you will be expected to know stuff that a student is supposed to encounter in his PhD or masters, but they'll ask you from the GATE syllabus itself, but around the reasoning, because in GATE it's mostly numerical, so we don't bother much about like why a certain resistor is say a high value or a low value or whatever. And but in case of the interview, we need to be prepared about the reasoning why a certain things happen. So having said that, like, don't freak out. Like, there'll always be something you will not be able to cover, and so again, maximum coverage possible in these 2 to 3 subjects. So next comes preparing your profile. So you in certain IITs you are expected to submit a resume or like a basic profile. So you need to be very well prepared with that. And so you need to be very sure that if they are asking you questions from one of your past projects, then you are able to answer, because if you're not, then that really puts a very bad impression in front of them. Now, these were some very general tips related to interviews, and now I'll move on to the specifics. So like in one interview, I was asked about like whether like they drew an amplifier, and then uh, basically it was like an op-amp, but it was going to be saturated since it was a positive feedback, so I had to identify that. But they did not show the feedback circuitry, they just showed the output waveforms. So you need to be very creative in those cases, and the key is not to get tensed. Start right from basics, and the most important thing is that speak out loud. Okay, they want to know your approach rather than the final answer. So they want to know how you are thinking when approached with a new problem. So you might not know the answer to every question, but they want to see how you are thinking, whether you are thinking in the right direction. And also, if you are not able to answer something, then they will try to help you out. They will give you certain hints which are going to guide you in the right direction, and they'll see whether you are able to pick up on those hints. If you are able to pick up on those hints, even if you did not know the answer initially, then that is a very good sign. So again, like I was asked basics of MOSFET, and so right from the energy band diagram to like why it's metal oxide and semiconductor, and what is the advantage of using that, then on why is a polysilicon gate preferred nowadays instead of a metal gate, because it was traditionally metal, right? So then another question was that like suppose I have applied a voltage on the MOSFET equal to the threshold voltage, and now I am slowly reducing my applied voltage, then through what mechanism will the channel go through? So it was like basically everyone can say that the channel will be depleted now and the MOSFET would turn off, but like then how? So it's kind of a reverse drift situation. So drift was basically what got the electrons across the channel from the drain to source in the first place, and now a reverse drift will happen. So it will go in the opposite side. So from drain to source now. So like I think the specific questions do not matter as much, because they will almost definitely change, and you can also Google a lot of them. You'll find a lot of interview experiences and you can go through those questions, but these tips are key because they'll always ask you something which you're familiar with. And if by chance they ask you something you're not familiar with, you can clearly answer that sir, I don't know, I haven't read about this topic, or I don't remember it at this moment. And that is perfectly fine. They don't expect you to remember everything, rather, they are trying to test your basic concepts and whether you are able to approach the problems right. So, don't worry if you are going fumbling over some calculation mistakes or not, those won't matter. So yeah, that is like the most important part of like MS interviews, I would say. And it definitely helps if you have that particular background regarding that research group. Like suppose if suppose if I have an interview at IIT Delhi tomorrow, and I know this particular one or two faculty who are working in my area of interest, so I made it a point to go through their profiles and go through their work, so that I can earn some points, like I might know information which other applicants might not. And that really helps, because the professor knows that this guy has done his research, and that puts a very good impression out in front of the entire panel, and that really maximizes your chances of getting selected. So I think that is like about everything that I wanted to say.
So, Tamoghno, you had mentioned that you had submitted a profile. So,
Yes.
does for a MS program, does that only include a CV of yours, or just like the PhD programs demands a statement of purpose? Do you also need to submit those?
No, like in my case at least, I had to submit a statement of purpose only for IIIT Bangalore and IIT Kanpur. So for other programs, I was not expected to submit a SOP. But in IIT Madras, I had to write a short statement about my research interest in around 200 words. So that doesn't really count as an SOP. It's like around 7, 8 lines or something. But like sorry, not 200 words, 100 words. Yeah, so like around 7 lines or something. So that won't really play into your like decision, your the final decision. So the most important is thing is definitely the interview, and how much interested you are. Oh, I totally missed out one point. So in case of MS specifically, once you have cleared the gate score cutoff, then gate score no longer plays a vital role. Rather, what plays a vital role is your CGPA. So this might disappoint a lot of people who might have neglected their college exams because of gate or whatever. But this is a very major factor which I think played to my advantage in a lot of cases, but it might serve as a deterring factor for some other people. So it's not like you have to be the topper of your class or whatever, but they don't want to see something which is like bad, right? So typically anything above 8.5 is good, anything above 9 is very good. So that's about all. They don't want you to be like the topper of the institute or whatever, but like this just plays a like small role in determining like whether you were negligent towards your college studies or not. Typically the assumption they make is that if you were serious enough during your college to maintain a good CGPA, then you will be serious towards any task which is given to you, and that might be uh, an unreasonable assumption to make some of the times, but like that's just how they do it, right? So if you are a person like me, who might not have a very impressive gate score but has managed to like score higher than the cutoff and has a very good CGPA, then I think the MS is the perfect fit for you.
So it was very nice interacting with you, and I must tell the viewers that Tamoghno has put out a lot of effort and coming and joining with our session for the past 2 or 3 times, and he has been delivering talks on various subjects. So I again tell the viewers to go back and watch the other talks given by Tamoghno, and I must assure that they would really be helpful to you and your gate preparation very soon. So do go and check out those videos. And once again, Tamoghno, thank you for joining us again and sharing your experience of interviews at various institutes across India. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kirtik. It was an absolute pleasure talking to you and the viewers. And I really hope it helps someone crack their interviews and I get to meet them maybe like next year. So, yeah, best of luck to everyone watching this. And thank you.